What a wonderful session of bhajans. I didn't want it to end for two reasons, that my talk would come soon, but the bhajans were beautiful as well. My loving pranams at the lotus feet of my dearest Bhagawan, Sri Sathya Sai. Thank you all for, thank you Jay for the introduction. Also, I would first of all want to express the gratitude to my parents who gave me away at such a young age. It's not easy. Being a parent myself, I know how difficult it is to give away your child to God. Their faith and trust in Swami at a time when there were no phones, not much communication. The only way to communicate was letters. This 1978. If most of you wouldn't have been born then, I'm sorry to say. But yes, I start with a disclaimer for my talk. Swami talks about an elephant and 5 blind men, right? And the 5 blind men go around feeling the elephant. The first blind man feels the trunk of the elephant and thinks that the elephant is a snake. The second blind man feels the ears of the elephant and thinks it's a fan. The third blind man goes and touches the leg of the elephant and feels like it's a pillar. The fourth one goes and feels the tail and feels like it's a rope. And the fifth one feels the body of the elephant and thinks it's a wall. So why I'm bringing this up is that I'm much like the blind person, because what do I know about Swami, right? I'm here to tell you what I have experienced Swami through my small mind. So with that disclaimer, I want to start. And also, as we evolve, our understanding of God changes. And Swami says the day we know God, we become God. So I'm not yet there. So I'm a work in progress. And Swami talks about Brahma with Brahmaiva Bhavati, which means the day you know Brahman, you become Brahman yourself. So with that disclaimer, I'm going to start my story. My father worked in, if you want to show the next. Sorry. Yeah, my father worked in a books and publications company. It was a private company. One day he came across Howard Murphy's Man of Miracles. And Howard Murphy is one of the first Australian devotees that came to Swami. And he then read Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Upon reading this, he knew this was a phenomenon. So as he was reading this book, through this book one day in the bus, a person sitting next to him, and my father felt shy because Swami's, picture is kind of different from the other sadhus and sages. So he closed the book quickly so the neighbor wouldn't see it, but the neighbor had seen it, and the neighbor said, oh, he was also a devotee of Swami, and he directed him to Brindavan, and so began our journey with Swami. In the 1970s, Swami used to spend about 9 months in Brindavan, only 3 months in Puttaparthi. He used to only go for 4 festivals. This was Guru Purnima, his birthday, Shivratri, and Dashara, sorry. Those were the 4 festivals that Swami went to Patti, but otherwise he always spent time in Brindavan. So when I was young, I spent most of my time in Brindavan, enjoying Swami's proximity. And those days you wouldn't have more than 50 devotees sitting for darshan. So we took him for granted at that time. What did we know, right? Also, my house was 5 minutes walking distance from R.S. Padmanabhan's house. If you see, he's one of the devotees who used to walk behind Swami in Brindavan. And his daughter Geeta Mohan Ram, all of you know, was the Balvikas teacher there. So I enrolled into Balvikas with them, and Swami used to come unannounced to their house. There was no telephone service, no nothing. So the day you see a crowd at her house, you know Swami has come. So there were times when we would have Balvikas classes, and Swami would be there, would pop into the class, and my father would come to pick me up, and lo and behold, Swami would be there. We would have dinner with him, and we'd go back home. So one thing I remember about the Brindavan darshans is we do Nagar Sankirtan in the retreat. We used to have Nagar Sankirtan in Brindavan, and Swami would come out on, if you go to the next slide, Swami used to come out on the roof like that, and he would sway to the music. After Nagar Sankirtan was over, everybody could do Aarti to Swami. If you had an Aarti plate, you could do Aarti to Swami. It was that open. The one thing I remember about this as a 5-year-old is I would see a white light around Swami's form. And he would move and the light would move. And I didn't think much of it until I asked my neighbor, I said, do you see that light? And none of them could see it. So I thought, okay, Swami's giving me something special, but I can never forget that. Another story that comes to mind with Brindavan is that, as when I was a young parent, I used to feel very guilty that I didn't have time to go do service. But then my mother reminded me of the story. In Brindavan, there were a series of sevas being done by the doctors on the weekends. So there were a set of doctors over there, and Swami came out to them. And see, Brindavan is really far from the actual proper bank, at least then. Now it's all connected, but Brindavan is pretty far. So if you had to go to the ashram, you had to leave home at like 5:30 in the morning to be there by 7. So the doctors were all sitting there by 7 in the morning to start their seva. And Swami came out and asked them, how many of you have taken care of your family and come? Did you cook at home and come? There were hardly any hands up. And Swami said, I don't want your service. He says, service is when you serve at home. You have to take care of your home before you do service outside. So my mother reminded me of this incident, and I followed that to the court, because I think Swami wants us to first take care of our homes before we move outside. But again, we should not be using that as an excuse not to help outside either. So there's like this line there. So coming to, during the Dasara celebrations of 1977, Swami announced that he was going to open his first primary school in Ooty, and those who were interested could go join. My father asked me if I was interested, and I said yes. And so we went as a family, like an outing to Ooty. Ooty is a hill station, so it was like a vacation. So we just went there. I did my entrance exam and I passed it. And Swami had picked this class as such, so there'd be diversity. There was one student per every state. So I was from a state called Karnataka. And in India, if many of the younger people don't know, if you cross a border, it's a different language. It's not like the 50 states of America here. So anyway, so each of us spoke different languages. And also, if you remember Diana Baskin from the thing, her daughter Christina was my classmate as well. She studied in Parthi, and in Ooty. And the Ruxana Bashiruddin, most of you will know, he was a prophet. He was one of the first Muslim devotees to come to Swami. His daughter was my classmate as well. So why I'm giving you this picture is that we assume Swami is all about Indian, Swami is all about, Sanskrit, but he gave us an umbrella of different people under the same roof, and he would encourage Ruxana to sing in Urdu. So she used to sing Allah bhajans, and then he would encourage Christina to sing in English. So she used to sing in English. I had friends, I had the nieces of Italian Prime Minister who was also part of it. They had no knowledge of English at all when they started, so it was really hard. They used to cry at night and we wouldn't know why they were crying. So this, I'm just giving a picture of how diverse it was. So that when we got selected, Swami gave us lunch that day, and then we had a choice to join in 2 days or that day itself. I was so adamant. I told my dad, no, I want to go today. So by evening, my father packed everything. My parents were there. They packed and they sent me off. I was so excited until night. Right? So at night, one child would, and Swami was there supervising all the details. See, whenever he starts a project, he makes sure he's there through every detail till the project takes off, and then he detaches. So that's Swami's plan, and we were his project in 1978. So then Swami, that evening, we had dinner, and one child started to cry because it was homesick. The whole hostel was crying, like there were 100 kids crying. And the teachers, so let me explain to you how the hostel is. If you can the first picture was the picture of our school. So our hostel was actually a British haven, okay? So Britishers used to use that as their summer vacation place. So the floor was wooden, and then our dormitories were in the first floor. Swami used to stay right above us, second floor, and then our classrooms were also on the first floor. So Swami could hear, it's thin, like the wood is really thin, so you can hear everything. So everybody was trying to keep us hushed, but you can't control 100 children crying, right? So then next day what Swami did was he called us, like, this is a usual setting. This was where we used to have bhajans. So Swami would sit there, we would be 100 kids singing over here, and after bhajan, Swami would talk to us and crack jokes and stuff. So that day he sat us down and he said, why are you crying? I am your mother, I am your father. You can ask me for anything. And his soothing words, his love, that suddenly magically made everything okay for us, and we were happy henceforth. So like I was telling you that every day after bhajans, he would actually go out to the devotees, come back and attend our bhajans, and then spend time with us, talking to us and everything. And he was very proud that each of us were from different states. So he used to always encourage us to speak to sing in our mother tongue, or speak in our mother tongue, so he can show off that we can speak different languages. So one day he asked us who wants to sing. So I'm actually very public display shy person, okay, even though I talk a lot, but if you give me a mic, I'm a little nervous. But so I put up my hand because I wanted him to be proud of me. So he asked me, and so I came up front and I started singing a Kannada song. It goes like, Krishna Nine Begaparo Yanamanado Lihatoro Huttittu Madurayali Beladittu Kokula. There were two more lines, but I forgot right here. Then I looked at Swami. He didn't show any signs of perturbance or anything. So I said, okay, let me start again. Maybe I'll remember. So I started again. Lo and behold, I got stuck at the same point. Now I didn't know what to do. So I looked at Swami. Swami was very calm. He smiled and he said, oh, marthoita, he said in Kannada, did you forget? So I said, yes, Swami. He said, okay, next time, learn it well and sing. So then I went and sat back. There was one 6-year-old boy who put up his hand. He was very cute, very enthusiastic. Swami said, you want to sing? He said, yes. So he came on the stage. He came on to Swami. No, there was no stage. It was just a thing. So he came up there and then Swami said, okay, sing. He, in all seriousness, put up his hand like this. Okay, this is 1978. In 1977, there was a hit Bollywood song. And it was Bombay Se Aaya Mera Dost. So he put up his hand like this and started singing. Bombay Se, and he danced to it. Bombay Se Aaya Mera Dost. Dost ko salam karo. Raat ko khao piyo. Din mein aaram karo. So, we have expectation. Okay, the meaning of the song says that my friend came from Bombay, eat and drink at night, rest up during the day. You have this picture of Swami, you think Swami only likes spiritual stuff, okay? You're not supposed to be singing all these kind of things. And all our teachers were shell-shocked because they didn't have time to train us, right, how to behave in front of Swami. So, there was no adult infiltration into the child. So then they were like shell-shocked. They didn't know, and this guy was really happy. He was doing his thing. Then Swami couldn't control his laughter. If you've seen Swami laugh, his stomach goes up and down. He goes red in the cheek. He was laughing uncontrollably. Since he laughed, everybody was happy. When Swami is happy, everybody's happy. So then after the song was over, he pulled him over and he told him, he said, Swami always says, Khana, Pina, Sona, Marna. Those of you don't know Hindi, Khana is eating, Pina is drinking, Sona is sleeping, and Marna is dying. So that's all organic, it happens automatically. But he said, Bhagawan ke liye, for Bhagawan, do bhajan also. He said, bhajan karna. He taught the boy very sweetly. And the boy was very happy that he performed well and everything was good, right? And what I learned from these two instances, first thing when I sang and I forgot, I realized that God can speak your language. You don't have to speak in Sanskrit. You don't have to speak in some language that both of you don't understand. You can speak in any language and God understands. And second thing is, God is very patient and loving. He's very forgiving. We have done so many things in our past lives. If we went through, we wouldn't forgive ourselves. But Swami has forgiven us so far, right? And the second thing with this boy, Swami instilled the faith that the boy's self-confidence was not broken. Swami didn't say, hey, he was not very rude or anything. He was very sweet. His self-confidence was built on his faith that God is loving and not to be feared. That's such a big asset you have when you have that as a child. So that's very important. So during this time, we had a very beautiful blessing. Swami, those days there were not many cameramen, so you can see the quality of the pictures and very few pictures. But if we were able to, we could probably have a picture every day. But Swami made sure that there was one of his students who had a Polaroid camera, and Swami picked the 100 students of us and took individual pictures. Can you imagine every child by himself or herself? Swami took a picture with each of us at that time, and I can't tell you how precious this is, because as a girl, Swami putting his hand on my shoulder is amazing. So I don't know if you can show that. Is that later probably? Okay, that's fine. So that was one blessing he gave us. And every day he would always ask us what we ate for lunch, breakfast. You think you go to Swami School, it's all about spirituality, but most of the time it was about idli sambar. That's what Swami would ask, how many you ate, did you like food? So he created our menu, and he would check, he would make sure that our weights were checked, and they had to be sent to Swami. Our grades used to be sent to Swami. He was so, now if you think, who am I? He had so much to do, but we were incidental in Swami's life. But he took the pain, and I think that's a lesson for all of us. Because he saw himself in all of us, and I think we have to do that going, as having known him or known of him, right? The one thing that Swami insisted very much, like bhajan, he kept saying, he insisted on the importance of Namasmarana, because in this current age, which is a Kali age, Namasmarana is the easiest way to get to God. And we think we want to do Vedam. I'm not saying Vedam is bad or anything, or sing complicated bhajans. No, Swami's name, Sai Ram, is so potent, so potent. And Swami gave us that at a very young age. So every night he had the prayer for us. So he used to sing Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Rama. It was a simple thing, but we used to chant that like for 15-20 minutes before we sleep. And the nice thing about this prayer is we would have power cuts. As soon as the power goes away, can you imagine 100 small kids, how scared and how much screaming would go on. But as soon as the power would go off, one of the teachers will start Sai Ram, and the whole gang will join. So the thing that we learned from this is that Swami's name is what you reach out to in your dark and troubling times, scary times. His name is, that's such a peaceful thing that you will get, that you'll never be scared in future. Okay. And we did a lot of plays and presentations in front of Swami. He loves plays and presentations. These days you all have in SSC especially, we have all these moral stories and all. We did silly plays, I'm telling you. They had no absolute value morally, okay. So there was one particular play he really enjoyed. It was about the director, and it was a small cast of a doctor, a nurse, and a patient, and there was a laughing pandit. So the patient comes in with stomachache with no expression. So he says, I have a stomachache, I have a stomachache. So the director gets very mad and he says, put some, show some emotion. So this patient goes back and he comes crying, I have stomachache, so everybody's crying. Then Swami would laugh at that. Then the director will say, cut. No, you should not cry so much, you should have a laugh. So the third scene would be them coming and laughing, ha ha ha, I have a stomachache. And Swami used to watch this so many times and laugh. This has no moral value, but I'm just saying, Swami loved such silly things. It was really awesome. So that was it. And then he made us enact this in the Pune Chandra Auditorium in 1980 for his birthday. And we also did a Krishna Gopi dance. Okay, sorry, it's not out of sequence. Anyway, so this one is, I wanted to talk to you about this. See, the girl there is Christina, the second girl who's the Christian. And the small girl, she was Swami, and Swami used to be so fascinated looking at himself. He used to pinch her and everything. So this is a drama called Daspik, okay? And Swami gives so much importance to all religions. So in this Daspik, we would have Vivekananda representing, Shankaracharya, sorry, representing Hinduism. We had Zoroastrianism and everything. Everybody would say their lines, and in the end, Swami will come and tie the whole thing up. Swami used to love this, and that girl was his fascination. He loved her, how nicely she walks like me, how nicely she uses her hand. So those were cute ones. Yeah. Then also one thing that really I know, sorry if it has, if I'm going into too many details, but when we first started, right, Swami was very particular that we would sleep on time and everything. Ooty is a very cold place, and I believe my teachers have told me this. I hadn't seen it in when I was awake, but Swami would come, walk around and tuck us in because it used to be cold. And then before sleeping, sometimes he would drop in and say good night to us and all that. And he would drop into our classrooms. And so the thing is, the teacher would be teaching here, the door would be here, so she wouldn't notice. Swami would come and quietly sit behind us and tell us to look forward. So the teacher would have no clue that he's with us. And he would observe her teaching and everything. And as later on, what happened was when Swami would enter the class, all of us would stand up and say, Sai Ram, Swami. Then Swami would also say, Sai Ram, sit down, he would say. So this was the thing. And when Swami was like a Santa Claus for us, he used to bring us a lot of goodies when he would come, right? So I have a very funny incident, like how you have these mott Tetra packs, right? So Swami used to bring those for us in those days. So we would all drink, but we had very naughty boys. It's easy to control girls, but 1 through 3 grade boys, very hard. Sorry for those who have had boys. I've had 2, so I know. So it's really difficult to control. So the best thing they loved about the Tetra Pak is to drink the juice quickly, put it down and pop it, okay? So it makes a big sound. So they had done this a couple of times in front of Swami, and the teachers were really very mad. So before Swami comes, they will inform, they say, nobody, if you do, we are going to send you back, we are going to do this. They give them a lot of lecture and everything. So, okay, then we started behaving properly. The next time Swami came, he gave us Tetra packs. Now the teachers are very vigilant, looking at who's doing what, right? And then suddenly they hear a big pop. And they're like, oh, did this, they're looking for the boy. And then Swami looks sheepishly, he has done it. So he wants to be part of us for every small thing. Like he used to, and we loved it because, we were like, okay, you teachers don't know much. Swami's with us. So, that. And one other thing was, so in the 1970s, early 80s, I know most of you wouldn't have known, but there was only one channel in Doordarshan, okay, called Doordarshan. And if a political person passed away, we'd have 3 days of Sarangi, like the sad music volume. That's all we had. But Swami was very insistent. Don't watch television. Okay, so to the point that we were so scared because we knew he's omniscient. So when I would go to my aunt's house and our TV is on, I would close my eyes in the living room and people thought I was crazy. But the reason I'm saying is, when we would come back, Swami would say, how many of you have watched television? And those who have watched would put their head down. But Swami used to pick out. He said, you watched, he'll say. And there was nothing much there to watch, but still, but what I'm saying is, Swami used to say it's television, right, which is poison. But that's a habit that I inculcated then. Now I have ADD with watching anything. I can't watch anything beyond 5 minutes, which is a good thing, but, these are things. Okay. Then Swami would like to show off, right, that we are all from different states. So he would always come and ask us, oh, which state are you from? So that he'll say, see, they're coming from different states. They're all living together. They're adjusting so nicely. So he would come and ask me all the time. And I was from Karnataka. So I would say, Swami, I'm from Karnataka. And he would say, Karnataka, and he used to do that. I'm not good at dancing, but everybody would laugh. So I would think, Karnataka, so maybe, later on I started to write plays. So I thought, okay, maybe Swami is hinting that, he was professor, he was telling prior to my writing the plays, that's what he meant. But later on, I realized that Karnatak also means do drama, right? Kar means do and Natak means drama. So I thought, okay, Swami is saying treat this life as a drama and go about it. So I thought that was the spiritual essence and I let it go. But years later, in fact, just like 7 or 8 years ago, I was listening to one Radio Sai talk, and then Professor Bhagya, who is a physics prof, I'm one of the professors in Parthi, he was talking about Natak, and his grandfather had told him never to go to Natak. Natak is a play. Don't go watch Natak, and his grandfather told him what Natak means. In Hindi, it means na atak, okay? Which means don't get stuck, okay? So look at the essence of Bhagavad Gita right there. Do, but don't get stuck, right? Detach from your results. That was, so as we evolve, even one single word of Swami can have so much spiritual import as we go ahead in life. Bhagavad Gita is kind of very close to my heart, because when we were growing up, Vedam was not so much in vogue with Swami, okay? So he used to love Bhagavad Gita. He used to make us chant the 12th chapter, which is the Bhakti Yoga. We used to chant in front of him. And the second chapter, which is the Jnana Yoga, Samkhya Yoga, he would make us chant from 54 to 72. The essence of the 54 through 72 is how a Jnani behaves. It is, how a Jnani behaves. And Bhakti Yoga is how a Bhakta behaves. He loved that. So we used to chant that in front of him. Why I say is that he ties everything together. And then in 1984, he gave a 30-day discourse for us on Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, don't treat it as just a scriptural text. It's something you live by every day. It's not something you memorize. 700 verses of memorization will do nothing. Swami says, one verse if we practice, that's great. Yeah. So then in 1981, Swami shifted us to Prashanti Nilayam. The primary school was built for us right there. So we did 3rd, 4th, 5th in Ooty, and after 5th we had to go to Prashanti Nilayam. When he moved us to Prashanti Nilayam, the hostel was built, but schools were there the school was there from 1st through 5th, but there was no space for 6th grade onwards. So Swami, what he did, he moved us to Ishwarama High School. We'd stay in the hostel, but we would go to Ishwarama High School. It was a Telugu medium school. For 2 years, he opened it in English medium, and we went there. And what happened was, they didn't have Sanskrit lecturers, so we used to go to the boys' school to learn Sanskrit from the boys' lecturers. So what I'm trying to say is, I went through all the schools of Swami, like the Ishwarama High School, the primary school, and the boys' school as well. Okay, so in Prashanti Nilayam, it was a little different. Ooty was very close, like Swami used to, there were not many students, so it was really close. In Prashanti Nilayam, he used to come, but he was more business-like in Prashanti Nilayam, but yet he would have fun with us. We used to call him for everything. Any inauguration, he has to come, and we didn't have many things to inaugurate those days, but so we used to have cold water baths. But so Swami decided that he'll give us a solar water heater, and so he came one day. So we called him to inaugurate the first thing. So he came, and there was a tap connected to the solar panel, which had a rubber tubing connected to it, and then Swami had to turn on that tap to inaugurate. Okay, so that the hot water flows. That was the whole intent. So we were all around him, and Swami opens. For some few seconds, no water came out. So what had happened was, there was vacuum in the pipe, and suddenly the vacuum let out, and the water came gushing. It's hot water, if you've seen solar hot. Everything came onto Swami's face and his body. We were all like, really, we didn't know, nobody had the presence of mind to do anything for him. We were scared, we were worried, everything. But Swami, so sweetly, he smiled and he said, not only did I inaugurate, but I also had the first bath. So he diffuses situations so nicely. One other thing about the primary school is Swami used to come very often. As he's driving out of the road, he'll suddenly decide to turn and come in. He wouldn't give us any notice. So we had to keep our dormitories and all really clean. One day we were doing our morning prayers and Swami in the foyer, and Swami comes in. And his usual thing is, we had a person called Kitchen Auntie. Her name was Indu Auntie. We used to call her Kitchen Auntie because she used to take care of our menu and make sure we get good food and everything. So Swami she would always be on her toes because only thing Swami cared about was idli, sambar, sadam, and then chapati. This is all, you think spirituality, he used to feed us a lot. So then he came into the foyer and he asked what is for breakfast. This was a typical question Swami would ask. So Kitchen Auntie immediately ran quickly inside. She brought idli, sambar, and there were mung beans, the sprouted mung beans. I know Saprasanna made it for me yesterday. But the mung beans, sprouted mung beans, and Swami took it, and we all tested it with, I cannot tell you how much. We didn't like it. That was one thing on the menu we really couldn't take. So then so they brought the plate to Swami. Swami tasted the idli, tasted good. He took a spoon of mung beans, he put it in his mouth and made a face. We were so happy. We thought this is going to go off the menu because we don't like it, he doesn't like it, he's the person who's got it. Then Swami asked the Kitchen Auntie and asked her, how many spoons do you give? She said, Swami, I give 1 teaspoon. Oh, Swami, with a twinkle in his eyes, looked at all of us and told her, give them 2 teaspoons, it's good for them. And then he walked on. So from this, what we learned is that if things seem unpalatable, we have to take things with a smile. Because in the long run, it's always good for us. Everything is good for us, and usually what is bitter is always good. If you've seen in health, anything sugary is not good for you. So if you have good times in your life, it's not good for you spiritually. If you have bad times, it's the best time for your spiritual life. So life's blessings don't necessarily have to be sugar-coated. So we learned that. Our class was then preparing for the 10th standard exams, and in India, most of you, 10th grade is very important in India. 10th and 12th grade are very important. It's like an AP exams, but every exam is an AP exam in 10th grade, so you have to do well. So every opportunity we want to do well, we have to go and ask Swami to bless us. So we went and asked Swami to give us Pad Namaskar. Swami said, why you need Pad Namaskar? My blessings are with you. So we were very depressed. Okay, so we walked back to the hostel and we said, okay, Swami, what is this? Then in the evening, as our teachers went, immediately Swami called us again. So we ran like buffaloes or whatever, we ran like crazy and we went and sat, and then Swami gave us Pad Namaskar and he gave us 2 pens and he said that take 2 pens to the exam in case one of them runs out of ink, he said, and he gave us Pad Namaskar. Why I bring this incident is sometimes you will not get what you want right away. But what you get later is so special that you'll never forget. If it was just Pad Namaskar, I probably wouldn't be talking about it today because he gave us Pad Namaskars. It was not a great deal. But everything, he makes it more special when he doesn't give it to you the first time. So just remember that. And sometimes if he doesn't give it to you at all, it's the greatest blessing because that's something he is not meant for you and it's not good for you. So that. And then what would happen is Swami, Professor Kasturi, Aldruk, Hislop, these were people, for those of you who don't know, Professor Kasturi wrote his autobiography, wrote the biography of Swami, and then Aldruk was one of the Jewish devotees of Swami also, and Hislop, John Hislop, all of you know, he was one of the first Western devotees, one of the few first Western devotees that came to Swami. On Wednesdays in our school, he used to send us people of these caliber to talk to us. Professor Kasturi was a child. He was just like Swami. He used to make us laugh so much. One day he was telling us about his, he used to put 3 stripes of vibhuti, which I really think. So he said, Swami made fun of him one day and said, Kasturi, what is this bandage you have on your forehead? So, Professor Kasturi is so witty. He immediately said, Swami, this bandage is so that the bondage of life would go away, So it was really awesome. He used to have a lot of fun with all of us. His loves, two things I remember out of his talk, which was really funny. He told us one time that he had gone for an interview with Swami, and there were a lot of Western devotees. So Swami asks, what do you want, what do you want? So he asked a Western devotee, what do you want? So this man looks at Swami and says, Swami, I want Mercedes. Okay, so Swami smiled and let it go. So Hislop also forgot about it, and several years later, Hislop and this devotee met up in Prashanti Nilayam again. So Hislop was very curious. He asked him, do you remember you asked for Mercedes from Swami? Did you get a Mercedes? He said, yes. My wife's name is Mercedes. So I would say what I've heard, be careful what you wish for. Don't ask for things, just let him decide what's good for you and give it to you, right? Let him give the Mercedes he wants to give, don't ask for it. Yeah. So then one other thing I remember from his love very much is that he would always tell us to take Swami along with us wherever we went. You know, he would say, hold Swami's hand, especially when you are facing any negativity. He says, just imagine you're holding Swami's hand and you go around, you know, and things will be fine. But he used to say, in the restroom you can leave Swami outside, but I beg to differ. I take him everywhere. You know, he's with me, why not? If I'm having a bad day anywhere, he's supposed to be there. So I always tell my SSC kids, take Swami along with you everywhere. You know, he's your best friend. He knows every thought of yours. So coming to the best friend, Swami used to come to our school and he used to ask us, how many brothers you have, he would ask some child, and I know you would have heard this before, and they would say, Swami, I have two. There'll be some children who'll count, okay? And then, because they count their cousins too, so they'll say, okay, Swami, 4 or 5, Swami will say, check, all of your brothers, Swami would say. Then he'll say, how many sisters you have? Swami, I don't have any sisters. Check, all are your sisters. So Swami used to tell. So then you get used to this pattern. So he'll ask the next child, how many friends do you have? So this child has now learned. So he said, Swami, all are our friends? Swami said, wrong answer. God is your only friend. So he used to, you know, make these kind of things. Why I say is that for all of us, no, friendship should be with God, because that's the only thing that will take us to Him. I mean, it's good to be friendly with everybody, but your best friend should be God always, because He's the one who can read you, who can help you. He knows what is best for us. So about being the best friend, when I said when you make God your best friend, you can get in touch with Him instantly as you want, right? So I have a couple of stories to that. There were a couple of boys, so whenever we would go for darshan, we'll give cards, letters to Swami all the time, right? So there were a couple of boys there, and they were talking with each other, and he was writing on the envelope. He had already done a card, so on the envelope he was writing, Swami, please come to the hostel. It was in English. So the boy next to him said, hey, Swami is an 8th class dropout. He doesn't know how to read English. These are small things, okay? So this boy said, Swami is God, man, don't talk like that, okay? So, and then their conversation ends. And then Swami comes, okay? And then Swami comes and he takes the card from him and he reads slowly, Swami, please come to the hostel. He's like deliberately reading it. Then he looks at the boy who made the comment and he says, Swami ne 8th grade mein class chhod diya na, he said. So Swami left school in 8th grade, right? He said. And these are things, you know, every day these things used to happen. Another story I remember is like these, like I told you, 1st through 5th grade boys are like extremely naughty. And when we come to Perthi, we have very little possessions. So we'll have only 2 sets of things. So we learn to live very limitedly. So there was, we would have very limited socks and everything. So there was this one boy, one set of socks had gone to Dhobi. The other set of socks he lost. So that evening they had to play on the playground. So punishment was he's not going to play. So he had to sit on the steps with the teacher and watch the other children play because he was careless. That was his thing. So he was sitting with a sad face and everything. Right, the day got over, next day we went to darshan. And then Swami talked to us nicely and everything. Whenever we go to darshan, Swami will give mangoes, ice cream, whatever, to make us, you know, very pampered. So Swami comes out with a basket and they start distributing. Guess what it was? Socks. I've never seen Swami distribute socks except on that one single day. So he came and he distributed socks to everybody. And when he looks at that boy, he throws another pair. You know, so what I see how God, you don't have to ask anybody anything. He's there for every small, as you can provide us socks, you can provide anything, right? So that was one thing that was very striking. One other story of, are we doing okay this time? Sorry. So one other story I remember is when students join the hostel, all the younger students, 10 or 8 of them will have one monitor or like one person, prefect, who will look after every need of older boy. Like, so you get that leadership quality as well, and then you're caring for somebody. So there was this one small boy. In the middle of the night, if you don't need to go to the restroom, they get scared. So you have the appointed person, like we had it on the girls' side, to boys' side. So this boy, who was the prefect for the small boy, didn't want to be woken up, okay? This boy needs to go badly, and he cannot control it. And then he sees, but what would happen is the bathroom would be far, but there would be a small light. It's not like it was completely dark. So this boy looks there, wants to go, wakes up this boy, no effect. So then he sees Swami standing there, okay? Swami's calling him like this. So this boy goes to the restroom, and this has happened 4 or 5 times, because this prefect was really lazy, he never helped out. So this has happened 3 or 4 times. Then one day, the prefect was asking him, he said, I needed to go to the restroom and you didn't even wake up. So he said, how did you go? He said, Swami came and took me to the restroom. And this boy was innocent because he thought it was not the omnipresent Swami. He thought it's really Swami, it's a Swami school. It is his duty to do this. That's what the boy thought. Okay? So things like this would happen a lot in the school as well. I have another incident about another girl. So what happens is in the mornings we used to have we used to play around, and then we would have go have a quick shower after Suprabhatam and everything. We'd have a shower and then come down to have breakfast. So one day this girl, she was very hungry. She's so hungry she can't control. So she finished her bath really quickly, ran to the dining room and was the first in line. So as she's going and then they start to serve, she looks at the breakfast and it is noodles. And she detested noodles with a passion. She was so angry. She just ran away from there, went and locked herself in the bathroom and started to cry. And she said, Swami, this is not fair. I was so hungry today. And I don't like noodles, you know that, but yet I had to eat noodles. If you want me to eat, you come and eat it, she said. And she was so angry. And within 5 minutes, there was a flurry of activity, okay? And then as soon as you know when Swami's car starts to come in. So he comes in, and then he comes in again, usual, what is for breakfast? Swami's standard question, what is for breakfast? So kitchen auntie goes quickly, brings the noodles and gives it. Swami looks at the noodles and he makes a face. He says, Purugula, which means, is it worms, okay? So, I mean, it then shows that Swami didn't like noodles too. But then he took a spoon of the noodles, put it in his mouth, looked at that girl and said, go, all of you eat now. Because she challenged Swami and she said, if you eat, you come and you eat, I will eat. So, he is the universal creator. He didn't have to come for one girl for a noodle. But what I am saying is, he's that accessible to all of us. He will do anything because we are him. He feels our pain, right? We are all part of him. So, yeah. If we have some more time, I have a couple of more funny incidents. There was one boy, he was very adept. You know, in first grade onwards, you start losing your teeth. So, you know, it starts wiggling. So, this boy was extremely good at removing teeth. So, he would take thread and put it around the teeth and yank it. If people wanted it, okay. So, it's not going to hurt, it's just there. Right? So the previous week, one of the boys had gone with all his teeth. Then the next darshan he goes, 3 of his teeth are missing. So Swami asked him, oh, what happened? Swami fell. How did it fall? Swami, this boy, he does a good job. Swami was so interested. He asked, oh really? He asked this boy, how you do it? What do you do? So nothing is like big or small. Swami was so interested in everything that he did. And also, see, with friendship, what happens is God is your equal. He will be your child if you're a child, he'll be a woman if you're a woman, he'll be what you want him to be. He bought once, devotee had given him a car, I don't remember the make because I wasn't very good at that time about makes, but he brought the car to us and he made us all go around the car explaining to us every part of the car. We did car production on that day. He was so proud of his car, so I'm just saying as a friend he would do everything like that. So, I mean, all these experiences are nice, but we have to go beyond just experiences, right? Swami came for a reason, for us to grow and become him. We have to ascend to be him. That is the whole essence. He always said, I came here to, make sure that you realize your inherent divinity. That's the whole purpose of the center, of anything, for anything what Swami did. That's the whole purpose. So one of my fellow sisters in Anantapur, when she had an interview, Swami asked her, what do you want? So she said, Swami, I want bhakti. So Swami looked at her and he said, I know you have bhakti, you already have bhakti. I want ask for obedience, he said. Okay, because it's very easy to love God, but to obey God is the hardest task ever. Try even one thing that Swami says consistently, it's really hard. So Swami told her this. Why I bring this up is, having come to Swami, it's not just the Lord that touches you, the devotees around him, the way they experience and the way they act, set such good examples to us. And since I was born and brought up in Bangalore, I had a lot of these devotees around me. One of the great devotees we all were fortunate to have interacted with was Rama Brahma. Most of you would have heard of him. He was a very big man, very loud-throated. You could hear his voice from here to like maybe Columbus side, that loud. He was really loud. His wife was equally loud. Okay, so in Brindavan, he and his wife would stay at the lower level and Swami used to stay at the upper level. One day Swami in the morning came and told him, he said, Rama Brahmam, I could not sleep all night. So Rama Brahmam asked Swami, how can I help you, what can I do? Because he used to take care of the ashram. So he said, your wife talks very loudly, she disturbed me all night, I could not sleep. So Rama Brahmam kept quiet and that's it. 3 days later, no noise at all, very quiet. Swami was very curious. He came and said, Rama Brahmam, what happened? The wife became quiet. He said, no Swami, I have relatives in Bangalore. I went and left her there. So for him, Swami's comfort was over anything, even his relationship. So these are the kind of devotees I saw, the obedience and the, wanting to please Swami. One other person I remember is Kutumba Rao. Most of you who have been in Patri know. He was the caretaker of the Prashanti Nilayam campus. Prashanti Nilayam thing. So what happened was on weekends sometimes Swami would do Narayan Seva. So the way Narayan Seva was conducted in Patri is there'll be men, women, and they'll have disabled people close to the entrance so that they can come in and out quickly. So Kutumba Rao had made them all sit. And one day Swami came and Swami said, Kutumba Rao, don't make the disabled people sit in the end, make them sit in between the ladies and the men. So Kutumba Rao again went and made the arrangement. There was one senior devotee who came and talked to Kutumba Rao and said, Sir, don't mind me saying, but doesn't it make sense if we put the disabled people near the entrance? I know Swami said that, but you could have told Swami, to put them in the beginning. So Kutumba Rao, look at the devotee Kutumba Rao was. He said, that much intelligence even I have. But Swami said to do this. If I go back and tell Swami, this makes sense, Swami will pause, think for a minute and say, yes, Kutumba Rao, do it like you want to. But obedience is not that. Obedience is what you hear and follow the first time. It's not to rationalize what Swami said, because sometimes it has no logic. But there is a bigger logic. So that's very important, I think. So where Lord is concerned, there's nothing illogical, okay? He sometimes tests to see us, if we will obey him, even if the world laughs at us. A lot of people will laugh at us, and then he does this so we detach our obedience with the results of it, So we should care. Swami has told. We shouldn't say why Swami has told. He has told we have to follow. So that was the thing. There was another 70-year-old Sevadal. Swami used to stay in the Purnachandra auditorium, and there was a very small passage to get to his room as you were getting up. There was around many 10 or 15 carton boxes, I believe. I had not observed this, somebody told me this. 15 carton boxes. And Swami, it was on the left side of the wall. Swami looked at the 70-year-old Sivadal and said, why are these on the left side? Put it on the right side. So he was a 70, he didn't take help. He said, Swami told me to do. He lifted every single box, put it on the right side. After a few hours, Swami came down and again looked at the 70-year-old. Why are the boxes on this side? Put it on this side. So he again did it without complaining. And then Swami said, see, that is why he's close to me, he said. So sometimes he uses these humans to show us how we should be with God. So, how much more time do I have? 5 minutes. I've told you about how good a friend Swami is. So what do we give back to Swami, right? How can we be a good friend to Swami, at least in few facets like Swami, right? So what is good about being a friend is that we cannot be like Swami, but we should try to be his friend at least in one or more ways, so we keep the flame of friendship with him. Just talk to him every day. I talk to him every day. And many of you will say, hey, I didn't have the physical experience. But every story I indicated today, it was not directly talking to Swami. It was reaching him through your inner heart that brought the physical Swami. And Swami is with all of us and can reach us. So I'll give you a few examples. Like in my office, every time I go to any shopping or something, I'll mentally talk to Swami. One day I went and I bought all the list of things that I needed. I was coming back and I realized I forgot. I was at the counter and then I realized I forgot potatoes and tomatoes. So I said, Swami, I'm feeling very tired. I'm not going to go back and bring it. I'll bring it tomorrow. So I come back home and everything. Next day I go to work. There's a bag of potatoes and tomatoes. One of my colleagues, she grows vegetables. So she came and gave it to me. So when you talk to him, sometimes you don't even have to talk. There's a mental connection and he will make it happen, right? And there was another time, it was Swami's birthday. In the morning, I was praying to Swami, and I was imagining, like I said, his love used to say, hold the hand. So I was imagining holding the hand, and I'm really bad at taking care of my hands, and I was like, Swami, sorry, my hands are rough, but I don't use anything, and then I forgot about it. I go to work, one of my colleagues has a hand cream on my desk, and it is a goat hand cream. And what I'm saying is, this is like too coincidental for it to be. So every small thing just involves him, he's there with us. Also, there'll be times when Swami doesn't respond to our calls, when we think we are suffering. But we should always pray to him and say, Swami, I know you're my best friend. And as a best friend, you will not do anything that's not for my ultimate good. I think that's a mantra. If we chant, we will never have a problem in our lives. Acceptance is half your problem solved, So yeah, that's it. In closing, I'd like to remember Swami Vivekananda. He was one of the foremost pupils of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And he was a giant, spiritual giant, right? And he used to always say, if I can show one glimpse of my master through my life, then my life wouldn't be in vain. So that's something we all have to think about. We have known Swami, his message. So anybody who can see one glimpse of Swami in our lives are worth having lived. But the whole thing about Swami is his message, his song, everything was about love. So I think love was his potent message, and I guess we have to pray that we show that unconditional love that he gave us. At least 1%, at least to one person at a time we can do it. Sometimes we can't even, I can't show it to my own family, like where would I go showing it to everybody? So that I think is very important. So I always pray to Swami that, I always say, Swami, help me love you more and more each day, and let your love flow through me, because my love is not as perfect. I want his love to flow. So we have to become that channel of love for him. I end the talk with thanks to each one of you for patiently listening to the stories I had to tell. I also want to specially thank Sai and her family. They really took care of me so well. And last time we had dinner at Jay and Seema's house, very wonderful dinner. If you didn't know, Seema is an awesome cook. So I'm advertising for them. So thank you so much, and thank you Chicagoland Centers for inviting me to share my
questions.
Sai, thank you very much. We will have one or two questions. Would you be okay with that? Yeah. Yesterday when Shalini was there, the two things that she told me. I'm not a good speaker. I said, speak with your heart. There are nobody like you who has such a beautiful experience with Swami as a small kid. So here she is. One round of applause. And any questions you want to ask? Yes, please. Here, give me a hand here. Can you give me a hand mic?
So you mentioned you had to take an entry test when you went to school at UT. What was in that test? Do you remember?
I don't remember, and I think it's just a facade. Swami has decided who has to be done, who has to not go, whatever. So it's just a facade, and Swami likes to follow rules. At least pretend like it.
Yeah, I think that's a very good statement. Swami is above the law, and that is we have seen as students. Anybody else wants to ask a question or two? Otherwise, I will ask a question, which you don't want. It's okay. How did your parents, being an eldest, right? And you were just 6 years. What made them just send you to Swami School? Is it because you're a difficult child?
I think there are two aspects. Is their devotion, of course, their unflinching trust in Swami. Second is, if Swami wants you, no matter what, you will be there. He'll change the mind, he will do anything. So you've seen, you can have a parent like Hiranyakashipu and turn out to be a Prahlada. You can be anything, right? It's all his wish. I think that's, I eternal gratitude to my parents for that.
Any other question? Yes, please.
Saram, this is a beautiful talk. My question is for actually kids. So, their heart and mind is not in sync sometimes. When they go to school, they see so many cultures, other things. And as SSC teachers, they do a great job. My son is like 9 years old. So how do they make sure if there's something influencing them, and then they have Swami and all these teachings, but there's a fight in between sometimes, right? So any 2 words for the kids so they can think better and do the right thing? Thank you.
Can I revert it to the parents, because I have 2 grown boys now. I'm not saying I was a perfect parent, but it's very important as parents for us to keep an eye on the company they keep. It's so important. Swami says company is what defines you. When they were younger, if I found somebody that was not a good influence, I would not let them go to their house. They would not like me. They've not liked me many times. But your job is not to be liked by your children. Your job is to raise them as good children. So you have to be really good at observing who their friends are. And you will see I'm not saying make judgments, but you will generally see apples don't fall far from the tree. You will know the parents too. So just make sure they're in good company most times.
One more question from the ladies side. Anybody?
Do you have
Okay,
a
last evening, I thought, one question, sorry, please.
Do you have anything to share where you were scared of Swami, fearful of Swami?
Actually not. I think we are scared only when we do things wrong. If you do not do things wrong, I think you should never be. Fear comes because you're either attached to the results, or fear comes because you've done something wrong. And I always tell SSC kids to use the moral compass inside. I always tell them, when you tell a lie, there is something uncomfortable here. Listen to that. And conscience is such an important voice of God. One of our teachers was telling us that the power of conscience is so loud, but you have to listen to it. Every time you listen, it gets louder. But every time you don't listen to it, it becomes softer and softer and softer. So it's like putting blankets over it when you don't listen to it. So just keep listening to your conscience. It won't let you do anything wrong. And then there'll be no fear.
Thank you very much. Yesterday evening, another thing that I said, we'll be asking questions. And I told, we are not going to stage manage any questions. We're not going to give you any questions in writing. It's going to be impromptu. And that's exactly what she really, Shalini gracefully agreed. We will have a small token of love from our sister Lakshmi. Thank you very much, Shalini, for